Hello all, my name is Chiara Salvatore and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to present this presentation at the University of Calgary's Undergraduate Research Symposium. To briefly introduce myself, I am a second-year undergraduate student majoring in Community Rehabilitation and Disability Studies. The title of my project is Environmental Action in Youth, the Case of Disabled People. I would just like to take a moment to thank my amazing supervisor, Dr. Gregor Wolbring, and his research group, the Wolbpack. I would also like to acknowledge U of C's CRDS program. The objective of this literature review was to investigate how and to what extent academic literature surrounding youth environmental activism engages with disabled youth, how and to what extent academic literature engages with the impact of youth environmental activism on disabled people, and how and to what extent youth environmental organizations cover disabled people. So going into some background on environmental activism encompasses various forms of pro-environmental behavior such as protests and can touch on various issues like climate change or pollution. Youth environmental activism has been a fast-growing phenomenon. For example, Fridays for Future, a global movement where students protest outside their local government, has amassed 14 million participants since its start in 2018. Regarding environmental issues, disabled people often face various social and environmental barriers in their everyday lives, such as inaccessibility, and are often disproportionately impacted by environmental realities like natural disasters. They are also often excluded and not considered in environmental discourses and activism, like disaster planning and the implementation of environmental policies. Regarding disabled people's history of activism, disabled people have had a long history as activists, often within disability rights. However, disabled people encounter numerous barriers in their activism, like inaccessibility in more traditional forms of activism like protests. Disabled people, including youth, could have the following roles within environmental action as displayed on this slide, and their futures could be impacted in the following ways as displayed on this second slide. The question is, what roles and impacts are evident in environmental activism literature and through youth environmental organizations? To answer our research questions, we employed three search strategies. For strategy 1A and B, we searched the following co-occurrences on this slide, obtaining 2,526 abstracts. For strategies 2A to E, we searched individual activism terms outlined on the slide, in total obtaining 2,441 abstracts. In strategy 3A, we searched the names of various youth environmental movements and obtained 29 abstracts. We then searched the Fridays for Future Twitter feed from February 28th to April 15th of 2020 in strategy 3B and their webpage in strategy 3C for the terms disability, disabled, and disabilities, and obtained one result from the Fridays for Future webpage. All of the content was then downloaded onto a qualitative analysis software for a directed qualitative content analysis. So this table examines our coding hits from our search strategies, and within all employed search strategies, only 4 results mention disabled people involved in environmental activism. Within these results, only one result referred to disabled youth, and no articles mentioned the impact of environmental activism on disabled people. The one relevant result from the Fridays for Future webpage only mentioned disabled people when referring to alternative ways someone may protest. This table displays quantitative data from 2,077 downloaded abstracts from Strategy 1A, where various youth terms like youth were looked at when they are in the same sentence as environment or environmental, and co-occurrences were categorized into 9 roles. Though one result under Youth Engaging with Nature mentioned technology helping youth and mobility impaired access nature sanctuaries, mentions for disabled youth mainly covered environmental factors worsening or causing disability, seen with the 31 mentions of disabled youth under Youth as Victims or Beneficiaries of Environmental Issues and Activism. Our findings suggest a medical angle of engagement with disabled people, including youth, and the environment, as disabled people and youth were most frequently linked to the environment through articles referring to the environment causing disability. As disabled people, including youth, are impacted by environmental issues, discourses, and policies, they should have stake and involvement within environmental activism. If they are not involved, the voices and lived experiences of disabled individuals cannot be incorporated into the resulting environmental discourses, as the people who are involved may overlook disabled people. Given the large gap we found in academic literature and media surrounding this topic, intense academic coverage of disabled youth engaging in environmental activism is needed to generate the data on the best practices to empower disabled youth to see themselves in various roles within environmental activism and to contribute their lived experience to this area, and to close the knowledge gap of how environmental activism may impact disabled people. There is opportunities for further research that includes the voices and experiences of disabled people, including youth, surrounding how to further empower disabled youth to become involved in environmental activism, how environmental activism may impact disabled people, including youth, and the barriers disabled youth may face surrounding environmental activism. I will just briefly flash through my references. Thank you all so much for listening. Please feel free to contact us at the above email addresses if you have any questions about this presentation. As well, thank you so much to the judges and organizers of the University of Calgary's Undergraduate Research Symposium for allowing me to present and gain this experience.